I want to go back to when you were talking about comedy can be hit or miss.
Mhm.
And that's typically because comedians like to just test new material at clubs, and they can be super talented, like established like Chris Rock or whatever. If they're trying new material, they don't know if it's going to go good or not. And so you could end up not laughing on a set because the comedian just hasn't nailed it.
Yes.
I fear the comics that I speak to say they are more reluctant. They are very reluctant, besides the super established ones, they are very reluctant to test material at the Comedy Cellar because the pressure is so high. Is that a self-imposed interpretation and pressure that these comics have, or is that the culture that you've brought into the Cellar where you expect every comic to bring their A game when they're on stage at your venue?
It's both, but it's more the former. It's a lot of what you're describing. And by the way, this is something I worried about. I mean, I'm worrying about it for so long that I probably shouldn't worry about it anymore. But I noted the phenomena that you're describing many years ago already, that when we became busy in every show, there is musicians would understand, comedians understand, there's a particular vibe when a room is like 20% full and it's later night, where it actually doesn't even work to pretend that you're playing at Madison Square Garden. You know, the experimentation is actually, and informality is even a more appropriate way to perform in that kind of special vibe. But this was also very good for the club because it kind of really built the bonds between us and the comedians over the years, because this is where they really hammered out their personas. So at some point, the place became so busy that on their own, the comedians realized, I can't have a sold out show and bullshit, right? I got to bring my A game. I mean, that's just the way it is, because it doesn't work. It just doesn't work when there's electricity in the air to get up, unless you are Chris Rock or something. But you know what? Even Chris Rock is not totally casual when it's a full room at the Comedy Cellar. Even he might prefer to go somewhere more, less tense. I don't know that. And I know my years as a musician, a lot of our most creative stuff and our most, innovative, in the sense that we'd come up with stuff that we would then use regularly, happened late night or on slow nights. And I'd look forward to the slow nights. And I had the same experience. We were talking before the show about when I had a very successful music club. And I had the same experience when that became very, very, very busy. Every single night was busy. I lamented. I said, we don't have that time to just hack around, and try stuff. So it's a very long answer. So yeah, it's mostly self-imposed. And we do expect people to bring their A game. We absolutely do. But bringing their A game doesn't mean not experimenting. It means caring about what you're doing on stage, which is not the same thing. And there was a time when you'd have comedians who just didn't care. They just get up there, not even try to be funny, insult people gratuitously, whatever it might be. And that would drive me crazy. It's just, but someone trying to work something out, that's fine.
What about content? Is there anything that a comedian could do where you're like, you either tell him or her to stop doing that bit or stop them from coming back to the club?
I know no one's ever been banned for doing material. Usually they correct themselves because they want to be loved. They're not interested in ramming something down an audience's throat that the audience doesn't like. Now they might need 4 or 5 swipes at it before they realize, either they'll figure out a way to tweak it so it works, or they'll say that, I thought there was something here, but there's not. The times when I have had to talk to comedians have been when they've, and this is very, very rare also, has been when they've just inappropriately gone after people in the audience, which is just not okay, in my opinion.
You ever had a Kramer incident?
Never quite like that, no. But they had some incidents, where a boyfriend wanted to kick the shit out of it. I can curse, right? I curse.
Yeah, that's fine.
A boyfriend wanted to kick the shit out of a comedian, or where a comedian. You want me to tell you?
Please.
So when I learned this lesson before I was ever a performer, when I was at college, Robert Klein, the famous comedian, was performing, and he was killing. I don't know if you know who he is. I mean, he's a fantastic comedian. And there was some idiots in the back waving these flashlights on like a lanyard, you know, these things like from the circus when we were kids. And he says, "Put down the flashlight." And they didn't put it down. They start swinging it again, and he gets angry and he says, "Put down those flashlights right now, or I'm walking off the stage and the show is over." Now, Robert Klein was 100% right. But what I noted was the show never recovered. His bad vibe, despite the fact that he was 100% correct about the ruined his show. The last half of it, he never recovered, which is, you know, and some performers learn that lesson and some just never do. They just never do. And they're self-destructive that way. You know? And that's the kind of thing sometimes you have to talk to somebody, look, you know, you can't do this. You're hurting yourself.